A beautiful sunny day on Scarborough's South Bay beach. But under the surface, water so polluted it'll make you sick if you swim in it. This once blue flag beach now rated poor by the Environment Agency, and residents in this area have had enough. Hundreds gather on the beach to demonstrate their anger as part of a nationwide paddle-out protest organised by the group Surfers Against Sewage. Paddleboarders are taking to the water up and down the country this weekend to protest the sewage overflow on their beaches. But here in Scarborough, it's too dangerous for them to even enter the water.
They advise people not to go in the water because the water's dirty. So we're going to get everyone together, this massive gang, but we're going to go for paddling in the sea, go to the water's edge and just have a look at it instead, just enjoy the view.
Mountain workers will not allow in the water too dirty.
Scarborough is well known for its award-winning sandy beaches, which draw in around 2.25 million tourists each year. But the Environment Agency now warn against swimming on South Bay Beach due to the high levels of E. coli found in the water, which can cause serious stomach upsets.
I've had a funny tummy a few times from surfing South Bay or North Bay, and it's not very pleasant.
I know a few people that have, and it's just not great, especially we've all got younger children and more for them than us really.
Despite what the locals might say, the MP for Scarborough says the seawater here is cleaner than it's ever been.
I've heard of these instances, but I haven't had large numbers of people coming to me to say that they've been made ill by swimming in the sea here. As I say, the seawater here is infinitely cleaner than it was 30 years ago before there was any sewage treatment at all. Even on a very hot sunny day, the majority of people only go in about us up to their knees. The people who go surfing, I know, sometimes fall in, sometimes ingest seawater, but I suspect if I ingested seawater, even on the cleanest beach in the country, I probably wouldn't feel very well after doing that.
For me it's very hard because I've got a surf school on this beach. I've been unemployed since the flags up. I can't work with no warning, so my job has disappeared completely, and no one said a single word about that, so we'll have to see what happens about that in the future. But for me it's very, very, very difficult on that, so it's not just my enjoyment, it's my livelihood as well.
There's no doubt the impact of sewage overflow is being heavily felt in these seaside towns, but how do we get to this point? If we rewind back 10 years or so, we were being told the UK had some of the cleanest beaches in the world. But last year, raw sewage was pumped into England's waters over 301,000 times, with the duration of spills adding up to around 1.75 million hours of sewage flowing into our rivers and seas. And it's not just happening in Scarborough. 300 miles down the coast in Sussex, protesters have organised their own demonstration against the sewage outflow on Eastbourne Beach. It's recently dropped from a rating of good to adequate.
Stop the sewage! Save us! Here are a few sobering statistics. In 2022, Surfers Against Sewage said that Southern Water had 4,347 spills, with an average of about 11.9 spills a day.
I grew up in Eastbourne. I don't live here now, but I'm sort of in the process of moving back. My dad was a hotelier on the seafront. My grandfather was a fisherman. Literally for hundreds of years my family has existed because of the beach, and it's so beautiful and so amazing, and it's just a shame that this is tainting the reputation of the town.
I like to see the rules change from Margaret Thatcher. I like the water companies unprivatised or made for not-for-profit. I'd like them to use their finances to improve conditions rather than make a profit for their investors.
I've had reports from swimmers who have left the sea ill as a result of swimming in it when there's been a discharge. I've heard reports of dogs falling ill as well that have gone into the sea too. But also it damages our reputation. As a tourist town, the sea is critical to bringing people here, empowering our local economy. If the sea is not good, then that makes prospects for our businesses less good as well. So it has impacts all around.
Wastewater from our toilets, bathrooms and kitchens all end up in the same pipes, and when there's heavy rainfall there's risk these pipes could become overwhelmed, with sewage backing up into people's houses. To lower that risk, instead of all the raw sewage ending up in the water treatment plant, some of it is pumped through storm overflows and into the sea or rivers. This is supposed to be an occasional measure, but in some areas it happens almost every time there's heavy rainfall. So why is this becoming so frequent? Well, the water companies claim that global warming and wetter summers are responsible for the increase in outflows, but there's also been major cuts to environmental funding in the last 8 years. As Environment Secretary, Liz Truss cut £235 million from environmental funding, which included sewage monitors. Since those cuts, raw sewage dumps have doubled. Over half of our water companies need significant improvements, with ratings of 2 stars or less. Last year saw a slight improvement in sewage spills, but the Environment Agency's director, John Leyland, says the decrease in spills in 2022 is largely down to dry weather, not water company action. We want to see quicker progress from water companies on reducing spills and acting on monitoring data. I spoke to Nicole McNabb from Southern Water's Clean Rivers and Seas Task Force to find out what their company is doing to tackle this problem.
For all the wastewater that we get into our treatment sites, we treat 95% of that. There's that 5% that isn't being treated, and that's what we're really tackling now. So the water industry has been taking it from around 50% treated to 95% treated, but we've got to tackle it until it's 100% treated, and until we get to that point, it's never going to be acceptable.
The company that owns Southern Water, Macquarie, last year had £2.8 billion in profit, which is a 10% rise from the year before. And you know, a lot of people are asking, why isn't this money being invested into the water system?
Yeah, and that is a question I get quite a lot, and it's absolutely a fair one. So when Macquarie came in and took the shareholder ownership of Southern Water, they put in £1 billion investment. So they have kind of already been putting in a large amount of investment so that we can certainly improve our assets and environmental performance. Southern Water haven't paid a dividend to shareholders since 2017. So all the profit that the company has made has been reinvested into the company, and absolutely rightly so. Until we're hitting the environmental targets, then that's really we need to do it.
Southern Water may be investing in new strategies, but the problem is nationwide. Even here on Cornwall's picturesque coastline, sewage is turning away visitors.
It's like Gadrevi, where there's an overflow and there is raw sewage just coming out into the sea, you know, and you can see it and it smells, and it does affect tourism, definitely. So they come back sometimes with tales of how horrendous it was and what's that smelly stuff, and sometimes it is pretty disgusting.
It raises the question, why risk going into the sea? But for people like 90-year-old Ruth Rose, sea swimming is a way of life. She organises the Seaford Mermaids, a group of intrepid outdoor swimmers who meet every morning.
It makes your day. That's what all these people have discovered. They all say, oh my God, I come swimming and I feel bright and ready for the day afterwards.
Keep it up because it keeps me mentally alert. If I come down here in the morning and have a swim, then it kind of sets me up for the day, and it makes me more able to deal with anything that the day might throw at me.
The sea has a powerful pull. It's no wonder water companies are under scrutiny from the public to stop the sewage. Water UK have promised a £10 billion investment to reduce spills over the next decade, but this financial burden will fall onto customers. Years of investment is needed to solve this problem, and with over 70% of English water companies owned by foreign firms, some question if this will ever be a priority for them. One thing is for sure, sea lovers are not going to let this issue sink without making a splash. Isabel Shaw, Just News, Cornwall.